All right, hello, music fans. Welcome to the Death by Unicorn channel. Today, we're doing something a little different from what I've been doing lately. I've done some discography ranking videos before, but it's been a while since I've done one. And this time, I thought we'd do a tier list approach. So we have a nice visual, and I've got a special guest, Kyle from All Media Reviews. He has his own YouTube channel as well, and he talks about a lot of great music there, as well as movies. How you doing, Kyle?
Great. How you doing, Brennan?
Really good. Want to
Happy
introduce
Halloween,
yourself?
everyone, even though it's
Oh
a
yeah.
couple days early.
Oh yeah, by the time this is up, it'll probably be
Yes.
Halloween. So yeah, happy
Everyone have a
Halloween.
spooktacular weekend, and we're going to talk about some great music today.
Yeah, cool. So today we are talking about Coheed and Cambria. Maybe before we dive into the tier list, you want to talk a bit about uh, how you heard about them for the first time and some of what makes them special?
Yeah, that's short or long. I'll just go as brief as
Oh, we
possible.
could do like the 1 minute answer.
Right. I became a fan, I want to say in 2005 with the Good Apollo 1. I can show my copies here.
Oh yeah.
After I remember hearing people talk about in the prog, the prog rock scene and the singer sounding like Michael Jackson and Geddy Lee,
Oh yeah.
and
I
it
could
being a
hear that.
concept and that kind of thing. And initially, I didn't like them. Had gotten into the Mars Volta at the time, and they were lumped in with the Mars Volta, and then another band I love called Dredge. And they actually
Mm-hmm.
did a tour with Dredge and a couple other bands, Blood Brothers, and I forget the other band. But anyway, suddenly then one of my friends is like, you don't like Coheed? He's like, listen to this song. I listened to Welcome Home and listened to The Suffering. I'm like, this is kind of good. The singer kind of annoys me, but I'm kind of getting into him. And
Yeah.
then I got totally won over by this. Like at the end of 2005, early 2006, I was just, and I'd actually flipped because the Mars Volta record at that point, the next one that came out in 2006, I didn't like as much. And I was like, Coheed's where it's at.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I, discovered some of their back catalog and have been a fan ever since and discovered other things about them. Their connection to the band Three, who I got into because Josh Ephard used to be with Three and he's Coheed's drummer. And,
Oh, cool.
I mean, they were sort of modern rock. They were a little emo, but they were modern rock,
Mhm.
but doing prog, and they were like a younger band doing prog and
Yeah.
some kind. So that's kind of the short story that could be a lot longer for me. How did you get into them?
I heard the song "Welcome Home" in Rock Band for the first time. I'm gonna crack my drink here too. I usually
Oh yeah,
drink a beer. I don't know if you have
I was
one.
gonna do that.
Cheers.
I'm not gonna probably drink this. I don't know because I can't drink soda anymore since I'm diabetic, but I do have the 1919 root beer. But
Oh,
I'm
cool.
basically drinking my carbonated water, my raspberry
Okay.
lemon my ice mountain. But cheers for everyone for
Cheers.
drink like beer or whatever
Yeah,
else.
I'm drinking it's a Morning Moon IPA made by Wellington Brewery and here in Ontario. So pretty good.
Do you ever have the Rush beer? That Rush
I
beer that
have,
came out
yeah,
recently.
I've had
Yeah.
that. It's okay. It's pretty good.
Didn't the
Yeah,
Mackenzie brothers also being from Canada,
yeah.
they were you ever see that movie Strange Brew?
No, I
No,
haven't. I'll have
oh,
to
you
check it out.
definitely need to see that. It's very beer centric, and it's
Cool.
Canada because
Yeah.
they were an
I'm a beer
SCTV and
fan,
everything.
so
But sure,
yeah. So for me, I heard Welcome Home in Rock Band. I was a big Guitar Hero fan in high school. That I was like obsessed with that video game as my favorite. And then I got into Rock Band, and when I heard Welcome Home, I feel like my brother was playing it. I was like in the other room. I like ran and I'm like, what is this? What is this band? Like I thought it was just a sick song. And then I went and checked out their other music based on that and really enjoyed it. And I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head when you were describing their sound. They're kind of special because they have this mix of that emo pop punk post hardcore kind of thing going on with the vocal style, but then
right?
they mix in the progressive rock and metal in a way that I haven't heard any other band like combine those all those styles this way. Like there's other bands that have all those influences, but the way they do it with the conceptual discography as well and the story
Right.
that spans all or almost all of their albums, and
Yeah,
it's
only
all kind
one
of
that we know of, I think. Although,
yeah. I think
if
it's
you wanted to ask me
this
how to
one that's
explain this
not.
story, I wouldn't.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know if I
I
could do
kind of
it.
it's funny, like I like concept albums and I like that there is a story, but I'm more of a music person than a lyrics person, so I have a hard time following it. I just think it's kind of cool, like every now and then I can kind of dive in and like get a little bit of it, but yeah, I think it's just cool, and the cool nerdy thing to do is to have a conceptual discography and like set in outer space and sci-fi. But yeah, I didn't fully follow the story,
When
but
they
I
were the
just think
first band that did that kind of. I mean,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
been
I
a
wonder,
few
did
that have
they
come since,
Deer Hunter does
but
it too,
yep,
and then
Dirt Poor Robins as
oh
well.
yeah,
And I mean,
I
there's a
don't
few
remember
other
so much.
projects that are very conceptual, you could say, but Coheed maybe within the first. I mean, you were talking about Arian the
Oh
last time we
yeah.
were.
Yeah,
Arian
but
kind of did,
Ariane,
but
it's more like each album is
right,
a concept, but I don't know that.
like,
Well, I think some albums carry over from album to album, but not the whole
mhm,
discography from start to end. But
right.
yeah, Deer Hunter Act 1 to 5 is pretty awesome. I like that, both Deer Hunter and Coheed, they have these like musical themes that repeat across the discography. So I feel like that's really cool. I always
Mhm.
like that. I like that, and even like Pink Floyd and other bands when they do that, it's
And
really
Claudio
cool.
Sanchez has been noted as a Pink Floyd fan, big
Yeah,
Pink
yeah,
Floyd
I
fan.
could hear it.
You know. Yep.
All right.
Ironically, I don't think he's a Rush fan, but that's weird. He's denied that. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah, his voice kind of reminds me of Geddy Lee plus emo, or like
right,
he said, plus Michael
or
Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Yep, that
Yeah,
was
well,
the weird thing. Yeah.
maybe we'll dive into the rankings. So I figure
So all right.
we could go chronological order, and maybe we'll start with your opinions on the first one, and maybe just a disclaimer
Okay.
for people who get mad about like the rankings, that this is
Right.
all like I like all their albums. This is all we're kind of ranking them
Well, this
relative
is
to
just
Coheed.
us. I
Yeah,
mean,
so it's
I,
our opinions. Yeah,
I'll say this on the one that we're gonna do after this too. Coheed, they're a band that, well, at their greatest, I love them, but at the
yeah,
same time, they have a lot. I don't say I have a lot of issues with their music, but
yeah.
I'm not full on fanboy in that I'm
I
loving
agree.
absolutely everything
Yeah.
they've done. And so I have a lot of records I don't listen to very much, and a lot of records I do listen to, or some records I listen to
Yeah.
frequently.
Yeah, it's the
So
same for me. And I feel like those are the most fun bands to rank where there actually is some variance. But I wouldn't say anything is like straight up bad, but there's just ones that I love and ones that I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Like
there's one that
production's a little rough, like, there's stuff like that. But
okay.
yeah. I don't know.
It's
How do
a
you feel about the first
So
one?
the first run, which I
Yeah,
do
the
have on
second
CD,
stage
second
Turbine
stage
Blade.
turbine blade.
Oh, cool.
I This is my short and long answer. When I first got into them, I did check this out and I bought it. Obviously, I have the CD right here, and
Mhm.
I liked it. But I know I did not like it as much as the other records,
Mhm.
and I liked hearing some of these songs live. But now having revisited it, I'm not that crazy about this record. So I put this record actually as a D, believe it or not.
I did
There's a
the
couple
same.
songs
So
I like. I do like. I like was it Delirium Trigger, Never Ender, which is the one is it the title track? They keeps on talking about Jersey, and I always think of that. But
there's a song called Devil in Jersey City, but I don't remember if that's the one that
that
he
might
talked.
be it. Part of it
Yeah.
is the production. I mean, there was their debut album, so I give them a pass to an extent
Yeah.
on second stage, but the production just is not easy for me to listen to. Maybe I've become a little more sensitive to
Hmm.
production values and stuff like that. So that's probably primarily it probably wouldn't have been a D 10 years ago for me, but
Hmm.
I have to be honest, that's where I put it.
That's exactly where I put it. And production is what I noted as well. It's a little weak. And I also think vocal performance.
Mhm.
He wasn't at his vocal peak yet, so the vocal performance was a little weak, but it's still like it's a young band. I think they're
Mhm.
young at this point when they're doing it. And you can hear some like hunger and some interesting ideas. And it's a cool mix of that prog rock.
It has some hints. Yeah, it like has some moments. I can't remember which one it is. Is it Godsend, Conspirator, one of the, or Never Ender? There's like moments where you can sort of hear where they're gonna go with what. Like by the time they
Yeah,
finished it, I think Claudio had already figured out I want to do something more progressive with the
yeah.
next, just musically, not necessarily conceptually, just
Hmm.
musically. So
Yeah. So my favorite track on it, I think, is Never Ender. Because I love the like guitar style that they were kind of going for with like all the pinch harmonics, and I also think it had just one of the best vocal melodies on the album and some of the best uh riffs. So it's kind of the one that stood out to me. Did you have a
that,
favorite
that
on this one?
that's the one I probably was thinking of. It was
Yeah.
like 3 weeks ago when I listened to this. the last time, but I put down Delirium Trigger, but I
Delirium
probably,
Trigger,
I mean, if consensus, if someone's never heard this record, never, and they like prog, Never Ender might be the first track to hear, but Delirium Trigger is a pretty decent track as well.
cool. All right, well, let's jump on to their second album, which is I have all the names written down here. They have such oh, this is just In
Which
Keeping
just celebrate,
Secrets of Silent Earth
yeah,
3.
which just celebrated a 20-year
Oh
anniversary,
yeah, 20-year
by the way.
anniversary.
I
Cool.
got it on vinyl, and I have the book. I don't know why it's got writing on it. Maybe I had one of the members sign it because I don't know. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah, nice.
bought it in 2000 September 10th, 2005. There's your date.
Nice. Oh,
Sticker on it, but
I've only got one physical Coheed album. I'll show it when we get to that. It's not necessarily even my favorite. I just happen to just have one of them, but not the
right.
others because I didn't collect all of them. But yeah, this one, In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth, I put this. I think it's a lot better than the first one. The production got a lot better. The vocal performance got a lot better. I put it in A. I'll put it there tentatively. We'll kind of see what you think. But I like it a lot better. It's kind of continues. It's the same style. Like they've got the same style, continuing the same story. My favorite track on it was Back End of Forever. It's the Camper Valorium 2 Back End of Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're carrying on that similar guitar style with the pinch harmonics, great vocal melodies. I think there's even some screams in that song too, so it's kind of got some
Yeah, I
like
think there is. Yep.
heaviness to it. Yeah, what did you think of this album?
I Okay, so I'll just get this out of the way. This is a massive leap, this
Yeah,
album. And there's also like the string quartet did arrangements of that. When I heard that, well, I already liked it. It kind of made me even like it more.
yeah.
And while okay, I'll say I had it as an A.
Okay, cool. We're
It's
aligned still.
it's pretty. I mean, this is. I may just put this at perfect 5 stars at some point because
Yeah.
I was after listening to it a couple weeks ago and for the anniversary, and I was just like, the song "The Light in the Glass" is my favorite track on here.
Okay. Cool.
That
It's a
is
soft ballad one, right?
no, that's
It's
the one.
not.
That's
Huh.
that peak where they're going up, and that climax that I'd even quoted on Facebook. I wish I had it in front of me, but oh my god, that song is just that's one of the greatest tracks of the 2000s to me.
Okay.
But I like the title track. There's a lot. The crowing's great. The thing about this, I'll say, and kind of foreshadowing what we do next, I love all the energy and the hooks. That's when
Yeah.
Coheed at their strongest. They have a lot of great qualities, but their strongest quality to me, and when they're at their best, is when they have those like the energy just flows, and you just keep getting these vocal melodies that are over and over and over again. And the production, I have no problem with the production. The production is basically flawless on this album.
Yeah.
There's
A
just,
lot
I
better.
mean, just there's just the story, the lyrics, like talking about the war, and what's the line in I think it's the crowing, or maybe it's the title track. Um, you know,
Not sure. I noted some
your
lyrics.
battle, something. Um, Hold on, let me go on. Just I have it here, and I
You have it
just
in your
click on the
notes.
link. I should be able to actually get the lyrics pulled up. I can just do a quote quickly. I hate it when I want to come up with something because I think doesn't it have lyrics? Let's see. Yes, that chorus in how something your battle stations.
Oh yeah.
Keeps on
Yeah, I
repeating
like that
that.
one.
I saw them do a lot of this stuff live, and it's just this is a fantastic album. Um, it's
Yeah.
their second record, which is just amazing, or also kind of in a way a little unfortunate that they put out such a fantastic album right after their first album, their sophomore release. That how are they going to top this and sustain this quality?
Yeah.
But and I know people that prefer like this is their favorite. I
Yeah.
first got
I
into
could see
them.
it.
It was Good Apollo 1 had come out, and the guy that I used to follow, unfortunately he's not around, this guy named Shane, talked
Hmm.
about, well, I like this album, Good Apollo 1, but how could they ever top Keeping Secrets? And I kind of understand why he said that, because this is just so damn good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely awesome. Maybe on that note, we can jump to the next one, which is Good Apollo. I'm Burning Star 4, Volume 1. A really long title, From Fear Through the Eyes of Madness from 2005. How do you feel about that one?
It's S. It's
Yeah.
this is their best record, even though as much as I gush over Keeping Secrets, the record that preceded it, I've heard of this album, I don't know, 100 plus times, and it's perfect. The whole thing flows. Again, the thing with the energy. I mean, it's got, of course, their most well-known song, "Welcome Home," and "The Suffering" was a huge hit as well. But every track has something amazing about it. 10 Speed of God's Blood and Burial, um, Mother May I. It just one song it sounds
Cool.
like The Police, another song it sounds
Oh yeah.
like prog metal, and then of course the Willingwell Suite, which is fantastic. The
Hmm.
energies. I always think of the last part, Jesse. Even though the
Hmm.
lyrics on this album, I know you don't say you don't pay attention that much to lyrics. I
Yeah.
was listening to this about a year ago, and it hit me how dark the lyrics are. I mean, I
Oh,
kind
they
of knew
are.
that, and I think it left a slight stain in my feeling about it. As much as I feel like this is a perfect record,
Yeah,
uh,
some of the lyrics can be like a little cringy sometimes. I know that, like the song "Wake Up," and it's like, "I'll do anything for you, kill anyone." It's like,
yes,
well, that's kind of
yes,
awkward,
I
but
know, and
it's
so
also kind of neat because it's like this, soft acoustic ballad, and it's very beautiful. But then it has this kind of like creepy, sinister thing going on with the lyrics there. So I thought it was kind of nice in a way. I could see how some people would listen to it and be like, well, that's just weird, and it could be off-putting.
no, I mean, I think it's definitely a case of the lyrics. If you read into the lyrics more, it may not help. I mean, I never really did, but I even got the graphic novel when I saw them live a few years ago. I saw them play the whole thing, but it doesn't take away from how just just
Hmm.
flawless the album is. David
Oh yeah.
Bottrill produced it, who's one of my favorite producers. I know Taylor Hawkins, among other people, played on it.
Oh yeah.
Um, and no, I mean it's just the energy and the flow and the songwriting. There's just nothing wrong with it from a musical standpoint at all.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you have a favorite track
I mean,
on
I
it?
kind of cheating and saying I say the Willingwell Suite.
Okay. Yeah, that
I would say the last part of it if I had to. That the what is it? Not
is
the
it,
final cut. The Telling Truth. Apollo 2. That's the only thing. If they could have ended the album, I always felt like they could have ended the album with that track. They have the final cut after that, but
right. Yeah, I wonder if that one's like a reference to the Pink Floyd album. I
well, of
I felt
course,
like
they did
the
2113 with Keeping
yeah, with
Secrets, and then the final cut
yeah,
with
exactly.
Apollo 1. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Yeah, the
What's your
21.
favorite track?
My favorite is just the first track of them theirs that I heard, which is "Welcome Home."
Look
It's
home.
it's their most popular
Yeah, it's
song,
hard to
but
argue
like
that.
I it's I think when a song is the first song that you've heard by a band, it can just like hold a special place because it's the one that hooked you. And
Sentimental.
love
Yep.
the guitar sound, love the epic ending with the woes. But I really love like almost every song on this album. I think is great.
Can't remember. I've actually got a 7 inch of that somewhere in here. I don't know if you
Oh,
have time to
sweet!
find this, but
I love how
these aren't on
aligned we are.
alphabetical order. What?
I love how aligned we are so far. Like we've given the exact because I had this one as an S
Well,
as
we have
well.
pretty similar. We have identical tastes, but we have pretty similar tastes, so I'm
I'm
not
sure
surprised, man.
I'm sure we'll have some differences later. I think it's a big
I'll
enough
have to show it at
catalog.
a later time, unfortunately, but because I don't know how long it's gonna take me. But yeah, I know. I mean, good Welcome Home. There's no arguing with that. It's still a fantastic song, as much as I've heard it so many times. But no, I mean, and I would guess most people watching this, not all of them, a lot of them are gonna completely like, yeah, you guys are right. I think
Yeah,
it's has aged really well. The production doesn't sound like it was made in 2004. It sounds
yeah,
like it could have been made last week.
true. Yeah, I feel like the
So,
production on this is even better than on their second album. Like I think you mentioned the production on the second album is good, and I agree. But I think there's something like where they hit their production peak here. And
I mean, I don't think it's entirely, but I think it has a lot to do. Here it is. It has a lot to do with David. Oh, that's Rush. David Bottrill. I mean, I don't know if you know
okay,
David Bottrill, but
I'm trying to remember other
he
things
worked
that he might have
with
produced that I've
he
heard.
produced Fair to Midland, he produced Tool, he produced
Oh,
King
Tool. Yeah.
Crimson,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
worked with Dream Theater. He didn't actually do the final mix on Scenes from Memory, but I
Okay.
Mother Earth,
So he's got
tons of
some
bands
great credentials
and
for
he's
sure.
always known for his mixing and his the fidelity on his recording. So I mean, it's like producers do so much, but I think I think it shows,
Yeah,
so
for sure. You could tell that like the professionalism and just the sound quality here just went up a notch. Let's
yep.
jump over to the next one, which is Good Apollo and Burning Star 4, Volume 2, No World for Tomorrow. And that's actually the one that I have a physical
Is the
CD
title
of.
actually on? See, I have that on CD, but I couldn't find my copy.
Oh, yeah.
It's I'm Burning Star 4. Okay, I thought it had
Uh,
a different subtitle, but
yeah,
you might
let's
be
see what
right.
their Wikipedia said.
I know it's
Yeah.
No World for Tomorrow, but
Yeah.
you know
It's
I'm on.
yeah, No World for Tomorrow is kind of
So it is good. I'm Burning Star 4 as well because it's
yeah,
the fourth part. That's right.
yeah.
It just says No World for Tomorrow on Spotify, so I get
Oh
it too.
yeah. Yeah, I guess actually yeah, on the album cover that I have it just says No World for Tomorrow, but then on Wikipedia it has the whole subtitle. So maybe it depends on the different copy that you get, or maybe technically that has the long title but they only put the short one on the album, not sure. But yeah, I guess it's my turn to go first because you went first
I went
on
on the last
the
one.
last one.
Yep.
So for this one, I feel like I have it as an A. I feel like it's maybe just not quite as good as the one before it, but it's still pretty great.
Okay.
Um, and my favorite track on here is the title track. I think the opening guitar riff is great, the vocal melodies, the harmonies. Um, yeah, how about you? What did you think of this one?
I could say it was a pretty. I mean, kind of that whole thing I said. It was a pretty, I say, dramatic step down, but it didn't really compare to the last record, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never really felt like it is in the same category as In Keeping Secrets. I had it as a C. I
Oh,
mean, I
see,
did
all right.
revisit it recently, and I think maybe I probably should have listened to it more in the last change, since because I really haven't listened to it much since it came out in 2007. Because I was
Yeah,
like totally hyped for that. This has happened to me with different bands,
yeah.
like
You
The
got too
Buried
hyped.
Me,
Yeah.
Transatlantic. The previous record is so good, then you have too big of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in revisiting it recently just for this. I mean, it's got a lot of good music on it. The production still sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have. It's not as progressive. It doesn't have as many hooks that
Yeah.
the previous two records. That's maybe the biggest criticism of it, more than anything else. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my
I'll
spin. I mean,
split the difference.
let
I'll
me
throw
put
it
it
in
in.
B. Yeah.
Okay,
I had it at A, you had it at C. Well
I picked
our combined rating could be a B there.
one track. I mean, I picked Mother Superior. I mean, that's
Oh
like
yeah.
4.5 minutes.
Yeah, I like
No,
that
and
one too.
the title track is pretty good. Feathers, Running Free is really that was one of the singles I think on it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean it's not a bad record, but I think to expect it to be as good as Good Apollo 1 is just not fair. If they had
Yeah.
released this album like 10 years later, I would probably be like, yeah, it's still pretty damn good. I wouldn't be feel like as not to say negative about it, but just
Yeah.
I would be more high or more supportive of it, I guess.
For sure. Once a band's done something amazing, it's like you want them to keep putting out that quality. I also like Mother Superior. I like the acoustic guitar there. And I like how it's kind of a ballad, but also has some darkness to it.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of like Wake Up on the
Oh, on
previous
Good
one, where it's
Apollo 1,
like
yeah.
a ballad, but there's like this weird, dark, sinister
Well,
edge to it.
the other thing about this record, and I remember reading stuff about this, is that there's at least one, but there's multiple, I think, six sections where they're completely channeling Pink Floyd, like David Gilmour specifically.
Oh
And
yeah.
I remember that when it came out, like everyone just said, well, they're basically ripping off Pink Floyd. It was one of the last tracks,
Hmm.
On the Brink or the Incomplete. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember that song when I first heard it in 2007 stood out the most. Like, well, that's their Pink Floyd song,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
thought that about the final cut on the like
Yeah, you're right.
the
And Final
because
Cut.
they
I mean,
also had the like a guitar solo that really sounded like David Gilmour on
totally,
it for
totally.
sure. But yeah, they definitely have a few guitar solos in their catalog that have that David Gilmour tone and style of playing for sure.
Especially the earlier stuff. I don't know about the more recent, but we'll get into that
Yeah, yeah,
eventually here.
changed a little bit. Yeah, maybe now we jump over to the next one, which is it what's it called
You're
again?
the Black Rainbow.
You're the Black Rainbow. That's the one from 2010. What do you think about that one?
Just I'm getting out with this D.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, that's where I
And
had
this
it.
isn't a weird opinion about this. I mean, I listened to it again like yesterday and today, and it was my last album to listen to for this whole thing because I just have way too many memories of being just hard, very difficult to listen to, and it's still the same way. The
Yeah,
mix on it is just it's hard to listen to. I there's a couple songs that are okay,
Yeah.
but and I think the band themselves. I know Claudio was trying to sing a little different on this, and
Hmm.
they were trying a different approach. If
Yeah,
I
it seemed
went
like
with
it
one,
maybe they were doing like I don't know if they were trying to be more straightforward and less proggy and like be more accessible, but it definitely seemed like the album's missing something.
well, I don't know if they had the budget maybe to produce it. I think
Maybe
that
that was
maybe
it.
that and I was reading about like that bass player was having that problem with he was addicted to some medications
Oh
and on
no.
tour. So they had a lot of I don't say a lot of turmoil. I know like also their original drummer left. I don't know if this is before Josh Efford came back, but they eventually had Chris Penny from the Dillinger Escape Plan. So
Yeah,
I think maybe some of the result of this is reflective of some of Coheed's, challenges at the time in 2010 when it came out. But
that makes sense. And
I
it's
put
kind of
down
wild they got the drummer from Dillinger Escape Plan, like such a very different sounding band. But I mean, I
oh
can hear some
I
parallels
have a
with
friend or two. I have a friend or two that posted online that they were just irate about the fact they took him from Dillinger Escape Plan because
yeah,
they like Dillinger Escape Plan much more than Coheed. But
yeah.
yeah, I know. I
I
mean,
like both bands, but yeah, I think I like Dillinger a bit better.
the song I put down is like the one sort of tolerable. One of the more tolerable tracks on it is the song "Far," which yeah, it
Okay.
was okay. It's a ballad and um,
Yeah, the one
but
I noted as my favorite was "Here We Are, Juggernaut" because it was like the only one that had a catchy vocal melody and chorus that I actually like remembered after. Like when I looked at the track
right.
list after not hearing it for a while, I'm like, I literally don't remember too many of these songs. Oh, that one I kind of remember. So that's kind of how I decided.
They should re-record it like Rush did with Vapor, not re-record, like remix it or re-record
Yeah,
it.
I don't
Uh,
know because I think the songwriting isn't as good. Like I hear you. I think the production's not as good either. But I don't think like I think the songs just aren't there like they
I
were
agree.
on the previous three. Like the songs would have to be better.
Yeah, I know. It's an album that I would struggle, to like have to listen to regularly. Like,
Mhm.
to write a review for it would be both easy and hard. I can't remember what I wrote in my blog when I was at the time. I don't know. I remembered because it was 2010 though, and it came out late in the year. It came like out in like October, and so I only listened to a couple times. I'm like, why am I can't deal. I got other records to listen to. Sorry, Coheed, I love you guys, but I'll listen to the next one. But
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever gonna get the Year of the Black Rainbow anniversary tour. I kind of doubt
I'm
it.
guessing I haven't really looked into what the popular opinion is too much, but like I'd assume that if we're both having it at D, that it's probably not like cherished. And I believe this is like the cherished one. So
Hmm.
um
Yeah. On Rate Your Music, it's the lowest. I believe it's the lowest rated record they have.
okay. So it's
Doesn't mean
probably
that some
not
people couldn't rate it higher than some records, but I
yeah.
believe it's got the lowest number.
Yeah. So they probably wouldn't do like anniversary tours for it or anything like
Kind
that.
of
Like
doubt it.
usually a band would only do that for like their critically acclaimed albums. Let's jump over to the Afterman Ascension from 2012, their sixth album. I'll start here. I'm gonna put this in S. I actually really love this album. Maybe we're gonna have different opinions here, but like I think the production on here sounds amazing. My favorite track is Key Entity Extraction One, Domino the Destitute, which is the second song on the album, and it's actually like probably my favorite Coheed song ever. It just has like this
Hmm.
good epic vibe to it. Uh, like kind of has a great build. Like it just starts soft with just the guitar, and then it just like kind of builds and has this like pump up nature to it, which I really enjoy. But I love every song on here. I think it's just like such a great return to form after like such a disappointing album. How are you? What do you think of this one?
Well, I'll agree with it. It was an improvement over the last record. Wouldn't be take a lot. I remember when I listened to this album, and I wanted to like it more than I did, but I know it wasn't that long. But the thing that threw me off was all the theatrical. They put all these like processed voices that were like it's like a story of some guy in space. Um, and I
Yeah,
struggled with it. The production is better, but I still have a few issues with it. So I have it. Where did I put it? I can't remember. I have it as a C.
see. All right.
Um,
So let's split the difference. I know it's either A or
the
B.
B.
I'm rounding up to
All
be
right, all
generous,
right, all
and we
right.
could shake things up
Sure.
at the end to like make sure we at least have one in each tier. So I'll stick it in A for now.
My favorite track though is the second to last track, Key Entity Extraction for
Yeah.
Evagria. It's got a really catchy chorus, again. Um
Yeah.
I know like I wanted to like it more and a lot of people loved it when it came out,
Oh
but
yeah.
I kind of felt like it's like, yeah, this isn't as they got corrected a lot of the problems of the last record, but when it came down to it, I still wasn't being grabbed by it enough. Um I guess I was still pining for a good Apollo and keeping secrets, and they were being progressive in a different way, I guess, with this one. It's
Yeah.
more like conceptual in some ways, more overtly conceptual. Um,
Yeah.
but
I see we've maybe our time limit we've maybe got, since we're using the free Zoom here, we've got less than 10 minutes left. I think we could talk about one more
all
album
right,
on this, and then we'll send another link.
sure.
Sorry for the people watching at home. This is a very unprofessional operation, but that's what it is here on the Death by Unicorn channel. I don't pay for Zoom. um, yeah, let's jump over to Afterman Descension from 2013, and I'll start with your thoughts on it.
I have this one at as a B. I think this
Yeah.
is a better. I know, like, I don't know if they were written at the same time, but I found like a lot of the issues I had with the first one were corrected on this one, and I like on Spotify hearted almost all the tracks.
Oh,
My
nice.
favorite song is "Away We Go." Um, I just think that yeah, I mean this album just it works better. I think I don't know. I think they just got back to writing stronger melodies and better riffs.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, having listened to the first part again and knowing this, I think if you look at them as a whole, the two together are pretty good record together too. But
Yeah.
I guess I've kind of gotten the experience that I look at this separately and I like this one more. So
Yeah. I look at them separately, but also kind of like a pair. And I think if they released them as one album, it would be maybe too long. It would be hard
could be.
to keep people's attention. I actually gave this one an S too. Like the besides this classic one, like these two are my favorite Coheed albums. So like those are kind of the three. I guess spoiler alert. Those are like the three that I gave S tier, and then like I didn't give any other. But like I really love this one, so I'm gonna bump it to A. Split the difference. My favorite song is Gravity's Union. I love like the ending vocal part where it's like caged, locked in perpetual motion. It's just like really pumps me up. Something about these two albums I thought was really cool. Maybe it was just super exciting to hear an improvement over the last couple.
That's part of it. Yeah.
For me, it just like pumped me up, and
Were
I've
you
kind of
bugged by
just
the? Were
been,
you bugged by the vocal, like those little like voice, like theatrical
oh,
little
the spoken
sound
word
clips?
stuff.
Yeah, that stuff.
No, actually, because I feel like it fits the concept of like the outer space, and it's like him talking to like his ship or like AI voice,
Like his only
that like
companion.
the
Yeah.
computer that controls the ship or whatever. And
Like,
I feel like it's kind of cool. It gives it a vibe, but I know some people hate
well,
spoken
I
word, so
initially didn't like it, and that was my biggest with both of them. But I've come around on it a bit. I probably need to listen to it more because again, it's been
it
10 years
doesn't.
since I've listened to these albums mostly.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't do too much spoken word. Sometimes I've been turned off by when there's like narration and spoken word in albums when it like goes too far. But I feel
Right.
like it does it just the right amount where it like it brings you into the concept a bit more and like sets the stage for the song, but it's not like dominating the album and just like boring you and like where's the actual music. It's I think
There's
it's a
still enough
good amount.
music. It's not all dialogue. We're not listening
Yeah.
to a audio opera
Yeah.
or something like that. Like some of these bands do that. They're
Yeah.
theater. So it's all dialogue and stuff, and not as much music, or it's cheesy and melodramatic.
For sure. All right, I think we'll take a break here and we'll jump back to finish off with the last three albums. All right, we're back from that quick break and we're going to talk about The Color Before the Sun from 2015, which is their eighth album. And this one's pretty different. It's the first non-conceptual album they released, and it's so far the only one that's not part of the Amory Wars storyline. And it has more of this like alternative rock or like pop rock sound rather than their typical prog. And I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. I'm gonna put it in C. That's kind of where I have it. I still really like it. Um, my favorite song here is Here to Mars, which is one of, if not their best soft ballad song for me. I just really think it's super catchy. Um, and they have other great soft ballads on here, like Ghost is a nice soft acoustic one. Um, Colors is great. And um, even like the guitar style on this is pretty different, but I like on the album they have nice kind of simpler guitar riffs, good effects, still some really cool leads. And I think the vocal melodies on here are really catchy. It's just like it's almost like it's a different band, and that kind of makes sense because it's not part of the whole concept. But I think it's a solid, like alternative pop rock album. What do you think about this one, Kyle?
I'm in the same feeling, although I put it as a D initially. You know, thinking about it now and looking at like what I liked, I probably C makes the most sense. I mean, I
Mhm.
would say that it's kind of like in between a D and a C if I push come to shove, but I like a lot of the songs on it. But you're right, it's just more straightforward stuff, which um I think it's clear you think about Year of the Black Rainbow in this album and like it's a similar kind of idea, but I think the songwriting is just stronger on this record.
Yeah. I
Uh,
definitely just I remember songs on here, and like I could hear myself wanting to like hum them and sing along. I don't really do that at all for Year of the Black Rainbow.
no.
Yeah,
I had Here to Mars as my favorite track, although I could choose any number. I remember the track You Got Spirit Kid was the first single, and that was really catchy as well.
yeah,
Colors, Eraser, The Audience I like also, and
yeah,
Atlas. It's you know, I mean, it's not their best record, and I think they've done better stuff since.
yeah,
Too much, but um, it's not bad. I mean, it probably would be one I would think about buying. I don't have some physical copies of a lot of these some of these records. And I would consider it for a reasonable price getting it.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I think it's pretty solid.
it was 2015, I think, wasn't it?
What year was it? Let's see. I could jump over to the
I'm on. Yeah, it was
Wikipedia. Yeah,
2015. Yeah,
2015. That's
yeah.
right.
That was part of it. I remember in 2015. Sometimes you got records that come out that are, you know, just among a year with all these other albums, and they get lost in the shuffle. And
Yeah.
that's probably why I didn't listen to as much that year. And I know people weren't as crazy about it, but I think it's not a bad record at all.
Yeah, I think I was kind of disappointed when the first single came out, You've Got Spirit Kid, because I really liked Afterman records, and it was like very much just like catchy and a poppy direction, and I was like, oh no. Uh, and like
Which can
the
be good, but
lyrics, I think
yes,
the
not
lyrics
be
were a
good.
bit cringy too. It was like nobody gives a F who you are kind of thing, and I'm just like, oh no, like
I
this
saw them
is
on that tour, and I remember the fan base did not want to hear any of the songs from it. You're right,
yeah,
but
like I think that song in particular maybe wouldn't have been the best song to lead with on the album. Like once I
uh,
started hearing how the rest of the album, how it all flows together, like it kind of made more sense and I like it more. But with that first song, I was like, uh-oh. I thought we were gonna have a real stinker, but I still ended up liking it better than these two, so I'll throw it and see. All right, let's jump on to Vaxis Act One, The Unheavenly Creatures from 2018. What do you think of that one, Kyle?
I thought this was a little bit of a comeback record. I mean, I remember like at the time my interest in Coheed was still waning. Like I just really didn't expect a ton for them. And while I know there's been criticism, like I know like on Notes Reviews channel, he's talked about how he likes this record, but I think it's too long. And I think it is kind of long. But I
Mhm.
think to me, and I wrote it in my blog that year, this is the record. They captured a lot of what they had with Good Apollo and even in Keeping Secrets, where they wrote a lot of songs that had hooks and there was
Mhm.
a consistent flow from track to track. And so I have this, with that all being said, at a B, I believe. Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's where I had it too. And I think this is the right album cover for Vaxis
Sorry.
Act One. Yeah.
It's the one where it's like
Oh no, wait.
gold.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
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 Okay, cool.
The only thing is
Uh,
I've heard the vinyl doesn't sound great. So
Oh,
I was gonna buy the vinyl at one point. It was like $40. It's a double, but I shied away when I heard some reviews of the vinyl not sounding the best. So, but
yeah,
um
I'm not sure. I've just listened to that one on Spotify, but yeah, it's pretty good. I had it as a B as well. I think I think the majority of the songs on here are still pretty much pop songs, but then there were like a handful of prog songs. So it
yep.
actually kind of almost like was like half the sound of this and half the sound of their earlier works. But I think that's kind of nice if you want that variety. And my favorite track on here is the Dark Sentencer. Like I like the prog tracks
Hmm.
usually a bit
Well,
better than the
that song
pop
came
ones.
out. That was the song everyone was referencing
Yeah,
initially.
it's the
I didn't.
longest one. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't pick that one, although I could have. I picked was it All on Fire? But I mean, I feel like that those last from like Nighttime Walkers all the way through Old Flames kind of
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of the Willing Well in a way with it just, hits you. There's different vocal hooks. He's doing some experimental vocals. He's doing some, they're not growling, but
Yeah.
I actually sometimes when Claudio does non-clean vocals, it still works for me. Um
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
production sounds fine. Sounds really good. I'm like,
Oh,
like the
for
stream
sure.
version. Actually, I haven't heard the vinyl, but so this, yeah, I think this was a return to form. It finished in my top 10 records that year, and
Oh, nice.
it's not a record I've been addicted to, but I think it's just solid. It's a good record.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it made my top 10 of the year or anything, but like it's so and actually it probably made like my top 50 if
Hmm.
I started listening to a lot of more music like around the pandemic time is when
Oh,
I
I
really
see.
started listening to like hundreds of albums a year, but like around 2018 I might have only listened to like, you know, not over 100. Like I might have listened to 90 or something that year, and I feel like this is in my top 50. Um, but yeah, now I've gone mad with listening to way too much. I'll probably tone it down a bit next year. Um, yeah, I really like Dark Sentencer. I think it's just the most progressive track, my favorite track on the album. Great riffs, and I also had this at a B, so I think we're aligned on that one. Let's jump on to the last one here, Vaxis Act Two. A Window of the Waking Mind, their 10th album from 2022. Uh, this one's interesting too. It's kind of similar in sound to Vaxis Act 1. It's got like a couple tracks that are prog and then a couple that are more like the majority, I'd say, are more on like the pop, electronic, alternative, hard rock, that kind of stuff. My complaint with the album is I feel like they used auto tune a little bit too much for my liking. Like pretty
Yeah, a
much,
little bit.
yeah. I think it's okay. Like I'm not like totally against auto tune usage, but there's something about it like rubs me the wrong way. I kind of like hearing vocals that are just natural and not tuned. Um, but I think this is still pretty good. I think the production on all the albums since Afterman has been like amazing. I think the production on here sounds good. My favorite track is Ladders of Supremacy, which is the prog track. I also like Window of the Waking Mind, the other prog track. I think those are the two prog tracks. But some of the pop tracks are good too, like Liars Club, Shoulders. I think like a lot of the pop tracks are really good. Like Love Murder One, Comatose, Cut the Cord. I think I could listen to all of those and be pumped. There's one that reminds me of the Police on here too. The song Blood. The intro reminds me
Yeah.
of Every Breath You Take. So I'm going to put this in C because I didn't like it quite as much as Vaxis Act One, but it's still pretty good. It's kind of like this album, but with two prog songs. So I maybe like it a little better than Color Before the Sun, but I feel like it's at the same level for me. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I actually really like this album, and I have it as um a B. Um
Okay, yeah, we'll round it
and,
up.
and yeah, my favorite track is Layers of Supremacy. I mean, I think that's by
Yeah,
most prog fans, and a lot of people think that's the best song on it. But I agree that the title track, Windows of Waking Mind, is almost as good. And the pop tracks, there's just a large assortment of them. I remember when it first came out, I remember liking it, but I feel like, oh, this is like mall pop because
Yeah,
a lot of it is synthy and like maybe a little auto tune on there.
yeah.
But when it comes down to it, and like I'm revisiting recently, it still just works to me. And not every song. There's a couple songs I'm not as thrilled with, like Shoulders and the Disappearing Act,
Mm,
but I think most of the songs they just work. I mean, I think they can't live up to Good Apollo 1 and that in Keeping Secrets what they like
yeah,
accomplished with that, but I think they've done about as good of a job as they can with this album and for the most part on the previous Vaxis album. So yeah, I mean it's just the production's really good. It's the only thing about Coheed is like it's great that they put out this quality of work, but they're not being as ambitious. So I mean, what are they going to do
mm,
next? I don't know, but I can't
yeah,
complain. I mean, it's
yeah.
still an excellent record, and again, it was in my top 10, I believe, back in 2022. Um,
Cool.
so yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's where I put it, and so you got it under B as well.
yeah. I think I like how this worked out. I'm looking at our combined tiers at the end. I feel like it's pretty solid, and I think it like balances and averages out our opinions on here, and it kind of just makes sense to me when I look at it. Like the Vaxises are grouped together, the Aftermans are grouped together. This one at the top, these at the bottom. It kind of I'm good with it. How do you feel about it?
No, I feel it looks fine. I know people that literally swear by the Aftermans. Like that's
Yeah,
they think that's the best thing they ever did.
yeah. It's
But
close for me. Like I feel like they're very close. Like I still think this is the best thing they ever did, but to me, like I'm like it's splitting hairs. I think they're really good.
mhm.
Yeah.
And I still think in Keeping Secrets,
Oh yeah,
I mean, I'm marveled how impressive it is. And I mean, those records at the bottom. I'll say though that even with my feelings of Second Stage Termine Blade, I would easily listen to that album ahead of Year of Black Rainbow still.
me
I
too.
can't.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, You're the Black Rainbow is the black sheep of their catalog for
yeah.
me.
Well, and if this had better, like this one, the songwriting is more interesting to hear. It's the production and the vocal performance for me. Like if the production and vocal performance on here is good, I think it could
It'd
bump
probably
up.
at least be a
Yeah,
C. Yeah,
yeah, at least a C. It could maybe get into B
even
if it was really
maybe.
polished.
I
Yeah,
actually never heard the live version. So they did that Never Ender. I saw Good Apollo 1 that, but I know they did that live. They did all of Good Apollo 2 I know live, and of course in Keeping Secrets. I'd like to hear the um Second Stage Turbine Blade live to see what it sounds like now. I bet you it sounds better. I bet it's more
yeah,
enjoyable.
probably. Yeah, like they're.
But
I think they're just better players, better performers now than they were then, and they
and
probably
Claudio
have.
sounds better. Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it would be cool to hear. This one would be a cool one to hear a remake of. Like, if forget this one, they probably aren't going to remake it. But if they were going to remake any album, I'd say remake this one
Hmm.
because it's the one where like it has potential, but like they weren't at their peak performance and production yet. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on the channel,
Yeah,
Kyle.
no problem. This is a lot of fun.
Check out all media reviews. I'll leave a link to your channel in the description. I think I might, if I take the time, I might actually even make a playlist with each of our favorite songs from each album and put that in
Sure.
the description too, just in case people want to listen to that. And hopefully some people watching enjoyed our thoughts and our ranking and leave their rankings down below in the comments as well. And until next time, peace out.